Hey, how's it going? How's it going? Mr. Deadman here of the Dead Man's Tome podcast. So, Orcs was trending on Twitter. Why? Well, let me ask you guys a question. You guys and ladies, a question here. Are you at all bothered by the stereotype that orcs are brutish and strong? Oftentimes, not very sophisticated with language. Does that bother you? Does it? No. I don't think it bothers most people or your average person. First off, we're talking about a fantasy race that doesn't exist, a product of fantasy, okay? So why would anybody be bothered by that? Oh, busybody nerds. Nerds I don't have a problem with. I do have a problem with busybody nerds that are offended by every little thing. They find things to be problematic where things shouldn't even be an issue. In fact, if anything, if they're the ones that see racism everywhere, then they actually might be the racist. Now, I'm jumping ahead here. What I'm talking about here is people are reacting to orcs as described in this new D&D book. I don't follow D&D. I don't know which version it is, and nor do I really care. But they are reacting to this and trying to say that this wording is problematic and racist. But if they're the ones who see it as racist, then they themselves might actually be the racist. See, what it is here, it says most, according to this was in the book, apparently, role-playing as an orc. Okay, most orcs have been indoctrinated into a life of destruction and slaughter. Okay, but unlike creatures who, by their very nature, are evil, such as gnolls, and it's possible that an orc, if raised outside its culture, could develop a limited capacity for empathy, love, and compassion. Okay, what's the problem? What's the problem there? No matter how domesticated an orc might seem, its bloodlust flows just beneath the surface. With its instinctive love of battle and its desire to prove its strength, an orc trying to live within the confines of civilization is faced with a difficult task. Now, if I try to think like some woke SJW super progressive who drinks the fucking Kool-Aid, if I think like some far leftist, I can see racism here. If I am also dumb fucking sane, hard R retard, and see this stuff as some sort of stereotype of a black person. Because that's what they're saying here. The people who are calling this racist are the ones who identify black people as this. That's what's happening. They'll say the wording is very strong. The wording reminds them of the wording that the Southerners would use back in the, I don't know, back then. I was like, what are you talking about? Because of some words that were used back then are used in this description of playing as an orc? What? Because a common vernacular kind of sort of crosses paths? We all speak English, motherfucker. Words are going to be used. We're going to use the same words. What the fuck are you going to do? Ban words? All words? Jesus Christ. First off, this thing's talking about a fictional character. A fictional character in a role-playing game. Who gives a fuck if it sounds racist? Even if it did sound hardcore racist, we're talking about an imaginary race. Who gives a fucking rat's ass? Only people who are busybodies and have nothing else better to do. By the way, do you know there's actual racism going on in fucking China, where they're actually saying black people aren't allowed in certain fucking restaurants? And that's nothing new. Anyway. No, let's just complain about racism in a D&D game. But you'll see this on Twitter where people point this out and be like, the problem of this is that the wording is eerily similar to actual racists from the past who justified what they did. I don't give a fuck about that. Just because they use similar words, similar wording, that doesn't make it. What? That doesn't make it like they share the same values or that it's. It doesn't make even a problem at all. Like, oh, but actual racists could use this? But the actual races aren't the one. Well, first off, that rebuttal, I have a problem with actual races. The people who are pointing this out are very fucking racist if they see a black person like this. That's all they see. But if you're going to tell me that this is going to invite, like, let me guess, some like alt-right racist people be like, see orcs as black people. Okay. Well, first, I'm still stuck on the fact that you guys see black people like this. It's like, come on now. You guys are the ones who point out that you see blacks as being brutal and bloodlusting and can be civilized as akin to black people. You're the guys that are making that stereotypical connection. Now, on the Dead Man's Tome podcast, we once had a discourse sort of argument with a guest that tried to argue that these fictional races like orcs, elves, and wood elves, what the fuck they have out there, I don't keep track of it, are based on real racial stereotypes, thus they have a real racial connection. It's like, hold the phone, back up. See, SJWs are so fucking funny because you could totally twist them around with their own fucking logic. If they're gonna say that these fictional races are based on racial stereotypes, then they have to actually admit that there's racial stereotypes. Then they would actually have to admit that the stereotype that, I'm just saying what the stereotype is, that black people have low IQ, that they're dumb, that they're very strong, that they would actually have to embrace that. You see? But that becomes a problem with them. They would back away from that real fast, but then say at the same time that somehow these fictional races are based on these racial stereotypes. That's fucking funny. So who's the elf? Who are the elfins? The Asians or the whites? See, it becomes very problematic, and the people who create that, could construct that sort of logic and build on that, are racist themselves, because they put themselves in a trap where if they're going to say that orcs are like black people, then what are elves like? Asians or whites? Either way, you put yourself in a problematic situation where you yourself turn out to be racist. You woke SJW motherfuckers. How about you just let fictional races in these role-playing games be, because they are what they are. Fucking fiction. Fucking fantasy. You know, the last person I would like to invite at a D&D game would be the person who points out racism and sexism and every little fucking thing. Kick that motherfucker out. That Karen is no longer invited. Get them out of there, because they're ruining it. They're ruining the experience. Anyway, what do you guys have to think about? What do you guys have to say about this, guys and ladies? All right, you agree? Is it racist? Is this problematic? Defining an orc like this? Talk about how to play as an orc, I guess. Ours are just goofy. Extremely goofy to be even bothered by this. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all have a good one.